Okay, so the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. Every triangle is 180 degrees. It doesn't matter how big or how small or how crooked or whatever. If it's got three sides that connect, it's a triangle. It's 180 degrees, period. So we can find missing angles using that information. Now, when we have congruency of angles, they're marked with the same number of like little semicircle type things, right? So if they each have one, they're the same, or if you have two that have two, they're the same. So these angles are congruent. Congruent angles. So if this is x, this one is also x. And the whole thing is 180. So I have two x's plus 40 equals 180. I can subtract 40 from both sides. So 2x's equals 140, which I can then divide by 2 to find out that x equals 70. So both of these angles are 70, and if you want to just double check yourself, you can add them together and you get 180. If we have two angles and we need to find the third, we know that x is going to equal 180 minus 54 and minus 61. So if I do that subtraction, I'm going to get 65. If I have three angles that are the same, I have three x's to equal 180. So I divide by 3, and x is going to equal 60. I've been given these exterior angles. When we think about, what do I know about these two angles here?
180.
They're 180, right? So to find this angle, I'm going to do 180 minus 109. And that's going to equal 71. So this angle is going to be 71. And these two angles also add up to 180. So I do 180 minus 117, which is 63. So that's this angle. And so then I can find x by subtracting 63 and 71 from 180 to get 46. Okay. So this one's fairly simple. We've got two angles already. But we're going to look at the triangle with the x. Okay, so this is the triangle we want to see. Okay. This is, ooh, wrong pen. This is what? 90 degrees. So this triangle has a 90-degree angle, a 26-degree angle, and then x plus 32. Did you guys see that? So to find x, I'm going to have to subtract 90, 26, and 32. Does that make sense? And x will equal 32, if I subtracted that right yesterday. All right, so look, if we look at this, this is 90, so this one has to be 90 also, right? So then to find this angle, I'm going to do 180 minus 90 minus 42. And that's going to give me 48. So if this is 48, and these two together make 90, so I'm going to do 90 minus 48 to get the 42. All right, what we have is an exterior angle is the angle on the outside of the triangle that forms a linear pair. So this is an exterior angle. Okay, any angle that makes a straight line off of an edge of a triangle is an exterior angle. Okay, The remote interior angles are the two angles of a triangle that are not adjacent, so they're on the opposite side. Okay, so they're on the opposite side of the triangle from the exterior angle, so these are the remote interior. And if you think about, like, you know, remote locations are far away, right? You've heard that phrase before, like a remote location is far away. So the remote angles are far away from the exterior angle. They're the furthest away you can get. Huh? Okay, the measure of the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the measure of the remote interior angles. So if we have a triangle with an exterior angle, this angle here, I need to make that bigger. Okay. Okay, so this angle here, if I call this y and I call this z, x will be equal to y plus z. Okay. And then the next theorem is if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the third angles are congruent. So what we have, oh, it's not gonna erase? Oh, there we go. We have congruent angles, right? These two angles are congruent, they have two loops. These two angles are congruent because they have one loop. That means the third angle is also congruent, so x equals 69 degrees. The exterior angle theorem.
So 90 plus 68 equals x?
Now this right here,
Oh,
I'm going to try to find this angle, so I'm going to call it y. Okay, so 2y plus 68 is 180. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 68. So 2y is equal to 102. 112. I just realized that. Thank you. 112. Divide by 2. So y is equal to 56. So this is 56. And our theorem is that x is equal to the two remote interior angles added together, so that's these two. So x will equal 68 plus 56. So x equals 124. Variables, right? So if we didn't want to use variables, what we could do is we could say 180 minus 68 gives me 112. I know that both of these together have to equal 112, so then I can divide that by 2 to get 56, and then add the 68 plus the 56 to get x. So if you can work it without the variables and you prefer that, that's fine too.
So which one is what?
So
The answer is this one, because we were trying to find x. But before we could find x, we had to find out what these two angles are. So you can either do that by calling it a letter, or by not calling it a letter and just doing, you know, math operations. Whichever way makes the most sense. Normally, when you get a problem like this, you'll have one diagram and then all of the problems will be listed like one right after the other. But I went ahead and recopied the diagram so that we could label it to make it easier for right now. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out angle 5. This is the angle we're trying to find. We are told that angle 9 is 112. Whoops, wrong pen. Angle 9 is 112 and angle 2 is 47. Okay, if we look at angle 9, This is our angle 9. Angle 5 and angle 2 are on the opposite side of the triangle from that. So 5 plus 2 equals 9. Right? That's our theory. So if I want to find 5, isn't that the same thing as saying I take 9 and I subtract 2 from it?
To get 5?
To find out angle 5.
Yeah.
Because angle 5 plus angle 2 equals angle 9. So to find angle 5, I subtract angle 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the angle 5 is equal to 112 minus 47. Okay, for the next one, we're given angle 1, and we're given angle 5, and we're asked to find angle 8. So we're trying to find angle 8. Well, angle 1 is 103, and angle 5 is 59, and my theory tells me that 5 and 8 will add up to make 1. So to find 8, I'm going to subtract angle 5. So I'm going to do 103 minus 59. So that's going to be 78. When we talk about m is 22 more than 8. That doesn't, or sorry, 2. Angle 2 is 22 more than angle 8. So I'm going to label these
Where can
So
I
if
find
one
this
all
stuff?
three inside, then
180. No, okay, label it to try to make it visual. So 6 is 124. That part's easy. 2 is 22 more than 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call 8 x, because I don't know what it is. So that makes 2
22 less than
22 more than 8.
Oh, okay.
So I have x plus 22 and x. And then I add these two together to find this one. So if I add those two together, this is angle 8, this is angle 2. They add up to equal angle 6. Right, so the measure of angle 8 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 6. So I took the 8 and made it an x because angle 2 is 22 more than that. So I added 22 to the x. So x plus x is 2x. I'm going to subtract 22 from 124. Oops, I say 24 and I write 24. That's terrible. So 2x is going to equal 102. Divide by 2, and x equals 51, and x was angle 8, and angle 8 is the one we're trying to find. So we're done. Okay. Okay, so we can label that one, no problem. But now we have 3 is 14 more than 6. So we're going to call 6x because that's the one that is being based off. Then 3 is 14 more than that, so that's going to be x plus 14. So now the theory is that this one is equal to these two added together, so I add those together. Okay. So 2x plus 14 is equal to 136. Then from there we solve for x. Just put it right there.
I have a question.
Hold on one second. So x is 61, so that means angle 6 is 61. And then if I wanted to find angle 3, or if I needed to find angle 3, I add 14 to 61, so it would be 75. Hold on one